Hello and welcome to another episode of Commander Durdle. So this goes with the Kaladesh set musings, and from Kaladesh I've opted to go with Depala. And if you remember from the set musings, this is actually, if you look at the EDH rec rankings, this is one of the least popular legendaries from their database at least. But I thought it would be an interesting commander to see what the algorithm builds around, because you don't very often see a combination of dwarves and vehicles, at least with a commander that you can build around. So this is 1 red-white, it's a 3/3 legendary creature, dwarf pilot. Other dwarves you control get +1/+1. Other vehicles you control get +1/+1 as long as it's a creature. When Depala Pilot Exemplar becomes tapped, you may pay X. If you do, reveal the top X cards of your library, put all dwarf cards and vehicle cards from among them into your hand, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So what I've done here, obviously, for the seed, is I've pulled out from the set, from Kaladesh, vehicles, dwarves, and also any other utility cards from the set. And as I've mentioned before, in the case of some of the sorceries, instants and enchantments, it's quite possible that these will get pushed out by other stronger cards that just do the same thing but for a better cost or are strictly better. So let's start with the sorceries before we move on to the other cards. So we've got Fumigate here, which destroys all creatures. So we've got a wrath effect in the set in white, 3 and 2 white. You gain 1 life for each creature destroyed this way. Start your engines. Vehicles you control become artifact creatures until end of turn. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. Refurbish. Return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So we're playing what looks like it could be quite a heavy artifact deck because of the presence of vehicles, and so it makes sense to have some way of getting a key artifact card back from our graveyard. We've got Demolish, which is a way of destroying artifacts or lands that are in the set. And we've got Hijack, where we can gain control of a target artifact or creature till end of turn, untap it, it gains haste until end of turn. So we can steal our opponent's artifact from one of our opponents. Enchantment wise, we have Authority of the Consuls, so single white, creatures your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you gain 1 life. So just with some of the cards we've got here, it looks like there's a bit of a life thing going on, but we'll see whether, once we start leveraging the algorithm, whether we also go down that, so whether we end up with dwarves, vehicles and life. We'll see. Revoke privileges. Enchanted creature can't attack, block or crew vehicles, and then captured by the consulate. 3 and a white. Enchanted creature you don't control. Enchanted creature can't attack. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if it has a single target, change the target to enchanted creature if able. So interesting lockdown spell. Artifact wise, we've got Smuggler's Copter. So whenever it attacks or blocks, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So I've sort of tried to pick here that there's obviously a number of vehicles in the set we could potentially use, but I wanted to pick ones for the seed with various utility and then see what gets suggested. It may well suggest other vehicles that are included in the set, but equally vehicles have since featured in other sets, so I'm hoping to get some stronger vehicles from other sets. We've got a vehicle here that can generate mana, It's great. We're in a red-white deck, so we've just got to fix for 2 colours here. This one, when it enters the battlefield, draw a card off of the back of it. It's a 4/4 for 5 with crew 3, and there's a 5-drop here, which is an 8/6 with menace and crew 4. And just to remind everyone watching the video, so with crew 4, for example, tap any number of creatures you control with total power 4 or more. This vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. So you're tapping down your creatures in order to turn your vehicle into an artifact creature, which will then allow it to attack, block, whatever you need it for. Foundry Inspector, so this is going to reduce the cost of artifact spells by 1. We've got Fairgrounds Warden. So now we're on to our dwarves. So when it enters the battlefield, exile target creature and opponent controls until Fairgrounds Warden leaves the battlefield. Aerial Responder, another dwarf. It's a flyer with vigilance and lifelink. Always handy to have vigilance creatures in multiplayer environments. Veteran Motorist. So when this enters the battlefield, we get to scry for 2, and whenever Veteran Motorist crews a vehicle, that vehicle gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Gearshift Ace. So whenever that crews a vehicle, the vehicle gains first strike until end of turn. And then Toolcraft Exemplar at the beginning of combat on your turn. If you control an artifact, Toolcraft Exemplar gets +2/+1 until end of turn. If you control 3 or more artifacts, it also gains first strike until end of turn. Now there's possibly some other mana rocks from the set I could have included in here, but I opted for the moment to see what gets suggested from the algorithm, and then go from there basically. So the other thing I need to do in this is to add a mana base. That's not currently in here. Now, from the set musings I did this morning, I'm trying to think. Let's just look at some land first of all. So we'll just stick some plains and mountains in here. And I will, because if you remember the set did have basic lands in it, so we'll switch to Kaladesh. So with 3 pieces of artwork. Yeah, why not? That's a bit different. And let's go for the just check the other one. It's nice, but let's stick with the building artwork. Okay. I'm going to pump this up to around overdid it there a bit. 36 for the moment. Right, let's dive in. So we're probably going to have quite a high artifact count because of the presence of vehicles, and we'll obviously have some utility creatures in here as well, which interact well with artifacts or a dwarves, because this is a sort of dwarf vehicle deck. See what planeswalkers we've got on offer. I don't know enchantment wise what we'll see. Probably going to keep the instant sorceries enchantments pretty low, around about, I don't know, 5, 6 maybe, somewhere around there, just because we want to really leverage all our spaces for artifacts and dwarves. So maybe let's take a look at those first. Here I'm going to be looking at stuff that interacts with vehicles or dwarves, if there are any. Because you can run an artifact creature until turn. Okay, that works really well. So, artifacts and dwarves. We've got Boros Charm. It's nice. You'll notice, I think, there weren't any instants in my seed. We've got Tap Down. This is interesting as well. There might be some Metalcraft instance that we might see here. I do want some removal though. Maybe that. We'll just see, we'll just re-roll the dice, so to speak. Of course we're in white, so it's tempting if we're going to have destroy all creatures. That's interesting. I'll get rid of my creatures if my vehicles are uncrewed. And let's stick around. You know, I couldn't resist. Sorcery wise, I think this point, just see if there is anything additionally that I want to do. Servos, that would be good. I'll leave it at that. So, planeswalkers and enchantments. It may be the case that I may have as many enchantments as I would want here, but let's just see. Okay, we do want some stuff that worries about vehicles if we can. Or artifact creatures. And planeswalkers. Oh, Ugin. Colourless spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Exile the top card of your library face down and 2/2 colourless spirit creature token. Interesting. I suppose there's also Duretti could go in here as well, but we'll just pop that in for the moment. So let's sort out the land side of things, shall we? Good old command tower. It's cool. Dwarves. Yeah, that was one I was thinking of that I forgot to include. Evolving Wilds. Seeing as it's an artifact deck, we might as well have that in it. And the other thing we could do is run the artifact lands. And the other thing I forgot about is, of course, there was a red-white. Let me just look up this again for. There was that cycle that I've forgotten about here, which was the Inspiring Vantage, which was actually in the set. Let's put that in. So I need to clock this down a bit. It's, oops. 37. Yep. And we'll rebalance that. At the moment, looks like we've got more white than red, but we haven't even started to really put a lot of creatures in here or our vehicles. So let's go in and remedy that. So I'm going to start off with some dwarves. You don't always see generally that many dwarves, but I did want to include that. Okay, what do we have? So you'll notice that some of these may well be in the following set, quite possibly. building vehicles. So we're in red and white. It's always nice if we can find some way of fixing our mana, creature-wise. "17 creatures." Now, I have to be a bit mindful here. I think I'm okay for the moment, but let me just add a few more vehicles. Let's try and keep the balance right. So plenty of vehicles to choose from. There's our Soul Ring. It's got quite a few cards here that are generating, have ways of generating treasure tokens that we've seen so far. This is interesting because, of course, when we cast our vehicles, they're non-creatures, I believe. So. What are we doing? 17 artifacts. How many slots we got left? 9, so another 9. Okay. So let's bring both of those up to 20. 93, so 6 slots. You may pay 2 if you do create a 0, 0. Yep. That's good. Other artifact creatures you control have haste whenever. Solemn in there. It's interesting. There we go. What have we got here? So our maximum creature CMC is 5. Take out that and put another vehicle in. Good. So there's our deck now. Let's have a look at the... okay, so... we just need slightly more white producers than red. So if we just take that down... bring that up. Do we have any double red stuff? Hijack. Yeah, we've got to be a bit mindful. Okay. So I'm going to remember to export this. And let us run the playtester. Okay, well, that's a pretty good hand. This comes out turn 3, so that's castable. So, what do I want to do first? Oh, we've got a Signet as well, that'd be cool. And an Arcane Signet. So either or, I suppose. Fumigate. Okay. Let's cast out the commander. Why not? Now really we've got plenty of choices. We can play our Inventors Fair, and with that in play we can get both our Boros Signet and our... So yeah, things are looking good. The nice thing with this is we've got quite a lot of cards that are fairly low mana cost, so even though at this point we seem to be not drawing any other land, we're in quite a good position here. I think everything here is potentially castable, so that's good. So let's just see how things go. We've got Evolving Worlds, an Ancient Den, Plains, yeah, Aerial Surveyor. So our big problem at the moment is the one thing we don't have a lot of is vehicles, either in hand or in play. I think it's one of these decks where it's fun to build, but because of just the way the vehicles require you to tap down your creatures to crew them and to be able to attack, it's, you know, not, you're sort of, that dials back somewhat the power that you know, any power you get through having your creatures able to attack. So you've sort of got to decide there. But certainly I don't seem to have any problem with the mana base, which is nice. Oops, sorry. Yep. Turn 2 Boros Charm. And turn 5, we can now easily get our commander out. So our commander gets out early, then subsequently on other turns we can get out Foundry Inspector. Ugins turn 6, we've got Hijack, got an Aerial Modification. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to do that. Supposed to play that. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. Giant Ox. Yep. That's playable. Nice. Oh yeah. Our mana base looks like it's behaving itself. So, it's a 3 land hand. It's powerful tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. that's cool. Okay, fine with that. Then we have a path. Get our mech hangar or Inventors Fair if we want to. And so on. So yeah, again, could get that out. So this is nice. It just looks like a fun deck to play around with. But nothing spectacular. And particularly I think if you like, you know, decks that interact with their components in interesting ways. Yeah, so with this particular hand, there's not a lot really going on. And now, yeah, we're starting to have, oh no, been a little bit better. Let's just try one more. So that's really the only hand where it looked like things where it might have been a little bit slow, I think. We got Commander's Sphere, which comes out when? Turn 3. Okay, Mountain. But I think with all these hands we've been able to get out Depala on turn 3. Okay, this looks like this could definitely be a problem. Oh, there's a Darksteel. We can get out. Got our Rebirth. Bit stuck with this one. This is one of the few double red cards we're playing. We can get out a Gearshift Ace. Actually, we could have played that earlier. There's a Solemn. Okay, not too bad. Sort of caught up with itself. Just one more then. So again, most of the hands we're seeing, it's good that they're mostly three land hands, so it's definitely the case that we'd get Depala out on turn 3. Yeah, looks like that's always the case actually. It's quite nice. In this case, 2 and a Soul Ring. Yeah, no problems there. Dwarven Mine. Yeah, okay. I think I've seen what I need to see. So, yeah, another fun deck, I think, to just durdle around with. And just sort of see what it does. But like I said, the main problem, and this is the case with a lot of vehicle decks, is yeah, tricky beasts, I think. I've never really attempted to build one, I must admit. I have memories, I don't know if I mentioned in the set musings, where I'm pretty sure I did play this set online. Because I was really curious, but I don't ever remember building or drafting of vehicles, if indeed I draft. I probably did the pre-release, maybe. with this deck, obviously the interactions get more interesting as further into the game, and really it's just a question of like setting things up nicely in those early turns. A bit worried that Depala might be a bit exposed, so one possible change is to put some artifacts that offer some sort of protection here. Because without Depala in play, you sort of lose this sort of dwarf pump, you lose the vehicle pump, and this other interesting tutoring ability as well. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in the next episode.